Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Tandega and commonly known as Shirley T across all my social media platforms. Today's video is a bit different than my normal videos. Today we'll be speaking about all things university. So registration, accommodation, funding, race life, all those things. I am going to be having different episodes of this series, right? I'm going to call it a series. So it's the All Things University series, and I'm going to have about maybe three. It'll depend on how much extensive it gets. So if it gets too long, I'm just going to divide it into different parts, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get I'm just going to be speaking from my experience and shared experiences of my friends. So this is not, I can say this is not highly accurate. I'm also speaking from a perspective of someone who has been in and out of university, and if you do not know, I have been at Wits and I've also been at UP. So the background information I'm sharing in terms of the information, or in terms of having an experience from those two universities. So I hope this is helpful for high school students that are taking gap years, or anyone that might be looking into going to university. So the purpose of this video is to help you understand the financial part, like where the money is going to, why you need so much money, or yeah, so because this is just to urge you to save up for university if you can. Just save like whatever amounts your parents have probably saved up for you. If they're able to save more, then they should, okay? But we're gonna let's get started and see why. So we're going to be speaking about registration, accommodation, and funding on this video. I'm going to assume that already you have been. We're going to make this scenario. We're going to pretend now that it's the end of your metric year, right? And you have been accepted, not conditionally accepted, but like accepted, like you have the final acceptance letter from the university that says they accept you on a particular field of study, whatever, right? So I'm gonna assume that, we're just gonna play along with that. So before you go and register, right, money is needed for you to travel, right? You have to travel to that particular university. If it's 500 kilometers away, however the distance, you are in charge of that. If you have parents, a guardian, right, you're gonna need traveling expenses. So that's when the money comes in now. So right, for you to be able to register, because you're given also a certain time period for you to register. A little side note, make sure you have a valid email address. I think they always urge you when you're applying that, because they're going to be communicating all of this through email, if you're lucky through an SMS. So you need to know where you have to go register, which campus are you going to register, and all of that. So you've been accepted, now you need to go register. You have to travel maybe from another province to another province, so traveling expenses, food on the way, and all of that. So you need to be mindful as well if you are from, for example, if you're from Eastern Cape, because sometimes these things they don't just take one day, sometimes they do take longer, but usually you do get help like on the first day, and then you can move whatever. But just be mindful of the fact that you might need to have a place to stay if things don't go according to plan. That's where money comes in. You can book accommodation, you can do what? this is still registration. Okay, the good thing about registration, you can always have online registration or assisted registration on campus. Now with online registration, it helps if you from very, like, if you far, but if you're not really sure about your courses, your fundamental courses, your what modules, your core modules, your electives, if that thing is confusing you, what are those, what's happening where, then you have to have assisted registration. You have to go for assisted registration on campus, right? And as much as you can send an email, but it's usually so much better if you get all the help on campus. So much easier. It, yes, there are long queues, everyone wants to get help, but it is so much better, right? So now if now that's out of the way, I'm just gonna make an example. So you travel, say I travel to Wits to go register. They communicated, right, via email. Good, you have to go to this campus. If you don't know where it is, you put it on way Google Maps. You don't know where it is. Chances when you get there, okay, even if you're traveling by taxi, it's you will find your way to get to Wits. Okay, it's not as bad. Yeah, Google Maps helps you. You get there, and then they show you this is Star Rock Park, or if you're going to UP, I think it's Hillcrest. Then you get there, and then you have to register. Now, bear in mind, we're gonna have three different learners. Learner A is NSFAS funded. Learner B is self-funded. Learner C has a bursary or a scholarship. I'm not really going to talk about loans because I am not well learned when it comes to how they operate. So I think with these three different things, I do have an idea in terms of how they work. Yeah, guys, so we talked about learner A is NSFAS funded, learner B is self-funded, and learner C is bursary funded. Now, if you do not know what self-funded is, it basically means you pay your fees for yourself, or you are responsible for your fees. If not yourself, maybe your parents or your guardian, right? With regards to NSFAS, it means you lie between the 0 to 350,000 rand salary per annum, like your parents earn between that. And then if you get a bursary, it depends on the requirements of the bursary. So if you get a bursary, then that's nice, that's cool. Usually NSFAS students, once you're provisionally funded, you can register without paying anything to the university, right? And then with accommodation as well, you can register for accommodation without paying anything, for especially if you are placed on an on-campus residence, right? Now an on-campus residence, it just means it's within the vicinity of the university, like it's inside their campuses, or it's closer to the university, right? And then you could be, yeah, that's what it means. And then once you go register, you don't have to pay your registration fees. Usually when you are on that stage though, or that step, but that says provisionally funded, I am not sure whether they do allow you if you're not on that step. I think some universities do, some don't, but it does cause a lot of confusion and commotion. So it's usually best to register when you do have that provisionally funded status. But sometimes NSFAS drags and it does take time, so that's why registration period, it's one of the most stressful periods for students. And then if you're self-funded, then you will have to pay 10,000 rands, or approximately 10,000 rands, depending on whether you're going to Wits, you're going to UP. For UJ, I think it's less. I think it's approximately around 6k. It just depends on which institution you're going to, but bear in mind that registration fees are expensive, right? So when you are also self-funded, then you'll have to look for accommodation if you are not placed on an on-campus race. I do not recommend staying on an on-campus race, especially if you are self-funded, even if you are using NSFAS, because the rates are very high, right? Especially if you're gonna be having a single room. Even if you're not gonna be having a single rooms, the rates are really high for on-campus residences, right? So when you go for registration, after you're done with your registration, you can get your student card. It depends. So some institutions require you to wait 24 hours before you can get it. Some say otherwise, so it depends. But don't rush to get one. What's important is for you to look for accommodation, right? And then yeah, I know it vets. I think you get it immediately you register. You can just go. I can't remember, guys. So yeah, so let's say if you're a bursary funded learner C, so learner C would possibly just have to hand in their bursary confirmation letter that bursary so and so acknowledges that this learner C, they're gonna fund through the courses of study, or they're just gonna explain what they're gonna fund. But also, guys, I'm not sure, but bursaries don't really reply quickly. They don't. If you're fortunate enough, they will reply or give you that bursary confirmation letter. It's usually after like a lot of stages, but it differs. But it's usually after like when you've signed your contracts, when you've done this, that, but it differs from company to company. Then they give you, and that at most that's gonna be around March or end of Feb or April. So yeah, it's that. It differs though. But let's say you have that bursary, you're gonna have to hand in that letter, whether through your portal, however they communicate to you. So that's why it's important to read your emails all the time, because that's where they say all of this information, whether where to hand it in, when you are okay. So let's say you've registered, even if you're private paying, you've paid that 10k, you've paid whatever amount that was required for you to be placed on an on-campus race, then you're good to go. Like, you don't have to struggle. You just need to know when to move in, right? But if let's say you don't want to live on campus, then now you have to look for accommodation, right? So accommodation is, we have two types of accommodation. We have a self-catered race, which means you provide yourself, I don't know, all the equipment, utensils, food. You are the one that you buy yourself all of those things. Your kitchen utensils, everything. Like you basically buy yourself food, right? You have to go for grocery shopping and all of that. And then for your your catered race, it just means that the university provides food for you. Then you have to go to the dining hall. You can book your meals here and there and so forth.